Hi Komal, how are you doing?
I'm good, Kiwa. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time out today for this interview with you. I'm really looking forward to hearing all your thoughts about coaching, how you got into the coaching space, to discuss your upcoming coaching foundation course, and hopefully all of our viewers who watch this video have lots of questions for you, for us, that we can take up then.
Wonderful. Questions are always welcome, and it's always such a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank
So
you.
let's take it on.
Thank you, Komal. Let's get started then.
Yep.
All right. So, just as we're starting off, would it be all right for you to share a little about yourself? I know a lot, but I think I'd like you to share a little about yourself and how you got into the coaching space for our viewers today.
Okay. Long story in a very short format. So I worked in corporate for 14 years before getting into coaching full time. Although I would say that coaching became a part of my work much earlier while I was working in global mobility industry in India, because I'd worked with a lot of corporate leaders over 14 years, supporting them, their families to come to India, get settled in a completely different socioeconomic environment, and you know be comfortable and be successful in a way, I would say. So I can't say like I made people successful, but I would say that my services have helped somewhere a little bit with their peace of mind or getting settled well. And so from there, I found my way into coaching, because the last 4 5 years of my work in corporate, I started to notice more and more gaps in the kind of services which people are getting, whether they're benefiting them or not, how useful they are for them. Because somebody who comes to work in a completely different cultural background goes through cultural training programs and still coming across the kind of challenges which are attributed to the lack of understanding or lack of their adjustment into this new space. I figured that, training isn't just the correct intervention. They need a little more of hand holding, because what happens in training, you can impart the skill sets to people, or you can give a lot of data and information to people. But for that new data and information to get embodied in them, they need something more. And that, I think, happens not just in that space, but in a whole lot of other adult learning spaces where we know a lot more. Like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, or this is the information I'm coming across. But what does it really mean for me, and how am I responding to this, or how am I going to respond this, or how do I need to shift and alter my own responses and reactions to this new situation, is something which is not what people go naturally to. They need to be, shown that that is a space where they need to go, and that is where I think, coaching supports pretty well. Any kind of change, whether it looks like a very small, meager change or something huge and radical shift, does need a kind of intervention and support for people. So I started with developing my own kind of cultural coaching program, uh, with an idea of coaching, whatever I had back then in my mind, like what might coaching be. I wasn't entirely right, but I wasn't entirely wrong as well. Like, of course, I did not know about the different competencies of coaching, something that I learned when I started as a trainer, as a trainee myself with Gocharya. And yeah, but so that's how my beginning happened in the space of coaching. And then some of my colleagues once mentioned that you will make a very good coach, because we we like your presence, or whenever you speak, we just like to listen. I was like, okay. And when I came into coaching, I was like, no, you are the one who are supposed to listen, not the other people. So that, so these small shifts happened for me when I started to learn. But I think out of intuition or out of hunch, whatever choice I made to shift my career from corporate into coaching worked very well, because I find my passion into continuously learning and growing with people, and also helping people to learn and grow and change their mindsets, their capacities and capabilities to grow and do good in life. So that's how I sort of entered into the field of coaching, and it's still
Wonderful.
going on.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful. And I think uh, as I was hearing you share all this, I got reminded that you actually are a learner from Coach Arya, now a
Yeah.
trainer. So almost completing an entire cycle, right? Like your corporate experience that got you into coaching, then being a learner, an alum, a trainer, and now creating that uh, kind of ripple uh, uh, through the work that you're doing as a trainer and empowering many more coaches, individuals to become coaches and create that kind of change that
Yeah.
you spoke about, right? Like, be it a small change, be it anything big, you need that support. And if it can be done through a trained professional coach, uh, I mean, what can be better than that? So it's almost like a circle getting completed in many ways, and the circle just growing bigger.
Yeah, it is actually a circle getting completed, because I tell you, Kiba, my first choice of profession just after completing my MBA and going for PhD was to become a teacher.
Wow.
I always loved and enjoyed that space. And I realized this because once one of my teacher in while doing MBA just gave me an opportunity to manage his class one of the days. He had to go out of the town, and he just didn't want that children to waste their time. So he asked me, he said, can you go and take my class? I was a senior student by then, and I was like, okay, I'll go. And that day was so exciting for me. Of course, the students didn't want to study. They saw, okay, the teacher isn't there, it's just our senior. They said, oh, we don't want to study today. I said, okay, we will not study, but I can't let you guys go. So let's just talk. We started to talk, have a conversation, and through that conversation, I sort of covered the entire topic that we were supposed to cover. And by the end of the class, I said, okay, so here are all the points that we wanted to cover today. And they were like, oh, but we said we don't want to study. I said, but we didn't study, we just talked. And that day reminded me that I really love that space where through interaction, through sharing, I'm learning and growing into my own capacities. And also, I'm helping other people becoming more and more clear about their own learnings too. So, with Kocharya, I got this opportunity to teach. And what can I say? The circle really completed.
And your friends were right. You are a natural coach in so many ways.
Yeah, but I like to believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Komal, I'd like to now ask you a little about your course. That's going to start in July. Uh, what's the course about? Just tell us a little for somebody who's maybe in the corporate space, maybe some other space. Like, what is the Coaching Foundation course, and what are you going to be covering in this course?
So, first of all, I would say that this foundation course with Gocharya is so full of so much to learn and take away and practice. But I would say, just like the word suggests, foundation, this is like that foundation laying course which introduces somebody who's new to the field to the idea of what exactly coaching is, how it is different from other sort of interventions, how is it similar, like what are the similarity, what are the different nuances, and then a very good introduction into the different competency models which are issued by ICF or EMCC that we do. And apart from just introducing people to the world of coaching, I think what makes this program really, really interesting is that we include a lot of practice and a lot of working on self. So it's like, it's not just focusing on what do the coaches do, but who the coach really is and how to bring out and identify that coach within ourselves and start embodying into the being of that coach. I think in a nutshell, this is what the foundation program is about. So we learn a little bit about the history, the people who are associated with the field, what they've said, like Carl Rogers and, a whole lot of other people who have contributed to the field, and different models and philosophies and theories that come together to bring out these coaching competencies from each individuals. And what I personally like to do in with my cohorts and programs that we've done already is to really uh, leave a lot of time for the personal reflections and how each individual sort of connects to the idea of being a coach, where somebody's natural strengths lie, where they need to bringing a little more, a little new, and what would really help them to go through this journey of change. Another thing which I really like and which I think is quite unique about our program is that we're not covering a whole lot of topic in just 1 week or a few hours of classes. The way we spread out a total 60 hours of classes over 20 weeks actually allow people to practice, make those reflections, make those observations, bring it back, have conversation around that. So it really allows, because change is a gradual process. It takes people time to mold into something else, right? Because if I can draw one comparison from a coach and a non-coach mindset and perspective, is the way we listen is very different. So, are we listening to just respond or have a conversation going on? Or are we listening to really understand and grasp what the other person is saying? So, a whole lot of these competencies or being of coach, as we say it, are some of the capabilities and capacities. If everybody develops, you know, this world will become a more beautiful place to live in, really. So I would say that this foundation program isn't just for people who seriously want to consider coaching as a career option, but I think this program is good for everybody who is a people leader, who is leading other people into any of the profession or field, whether these are corporate leaders and managers, or whether even if these are like political leaders and managers. I think it would be a good program for them, or even for parents, right? Because you are leading your children into a new life, or a bright, brilliant life. For teachers, for educationists. So I think because this program has got all of these competencies, which I think add a lot of value to us as an individual as well. That is why whenever some people come into learning these coaching programs, somewhere in some corners they find really naturally aligning to, because that's who they have been right throughout. And then there are certain other areas where they really need to hone in and improve their capacities. So I would say like foundation program is a culmination and a combination of learning the structure of coaching and the art of coaching, like flowing with it.
Beautifully shared. So, Komal, can you share one or two stories of your learners and the kind of transformation, according to you, from what you observed, they've had through this journey of uh, a couple of weeks, 13 weeks?
What can I say? I mean, I feel really blessed to see so many journeys and so many people, transforming in such positive ways. Like when they come in the beginning and how they are like full of anticipation, curiosity for sure, a lot of them. Uh, but really thinking like, okay, this is something that I will attain and acquire. And then very soon, the way we sort of conduct the program, they start to feel like, yes, I can do this. And then when they begin to listen to their own words and say, oh, I said this, or oh, I asked this, or oh, I thought this. So rising up of that self awareness about themselves. And then within their own words, because of course I do observe them growing gradually into becoming more and more self assured and more comfortable into what they're doing or what they want to do. But what's most interesting is when they ask a question and then within the next moment they say, okay, I know the answer to. Right? So connecting deeply with their own self awareness, their own understanding, and then going on a path of, uh, that self correcting and self regulating. I think that's something which is really interesting. That after a while, you do not actively seek or need somebody outside of you to validate any change or validate any thoughts that's coming in you, but you develop so much of uh, presence within yourself that even if there is a doubt, you do have your own solutions and suggestions too. Like we say that the ultimate purpose of coaching is to help people learn to self coach. I think that's what happens with our coaches, coach learners too. Like in the beginning, they are learning and grasping a lot from outside, but then by the end of it, they notice, and this happens quite a lot. Like when they do their coaching sessions, do their transcripts, and when they self-assess and self-evaluate and say, oh, so I did this right at this point. Oh, why did I ask this question? I shouldn't have done that. So that self evaluation, self assessment, and then eventually it lead to the self regulation too. I think that is quite remarkable. Some people who are more like heart focused and heart oriented, who perhaps sometimes enter into this program a little more shaky, a little more emotionally imbalanced, find a lot of strength, a lot of emotional intelligence rising within themselves, which was always there actually. It's just that they didn't have a way to see it as their strength, begin to develop a different vision for themselves. And that helps them coach and become the coach for other people too. Because I strongly believe that coaching isn't about as much about doing something for others, but it's like working more and more within yourself, taking away more and more the inner resistances so that you can then be present for other people as completely empty, a completely blank slate. So that is wonderful to see when that starts to happen.
I'm almost imagining, this emptiness that comes in for a learner, because I always believe through the journey that I have also started with the coaching foundation and now the level two coaching journey, that coaching really is healing. And as you empty yourself out, you have more space for others. And so very, very beautifully expressed, Komal.
Absolutely. Because till the time we haven't worked within ourselves, it would always fall back into doing something. It would always be like, okay, asking the right question is important. Whereas when you work more and more within yourself, uh, it doesn't matter. Whatever question you ask at the given time ends up being the right question. Or even if you're not asking something, even if you're just sitting in silence with the person, that is what is required. That is what works. Yeah.
So, Komal, in this journey, the self transformation that a person experiences, according to you, in your experience, maybe as a learner when you were a learner, or now as a trainer, what role do you think the peer community plays?
Oh, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. One, I think, because you do have the opportunity to practice, one cannot be a good coach with just learning, okay, this competency, that competency, and it's like, okay, I know how to use a tool. No, you got to really use it. You really need to get into it. You really need every competency to become you. And that happens when you have more and more opportunities to coach each other, to coach people, right? And when you're beginning, for you to just go outside and say, I'm a coach or I'm training to be coach, come and I would like to coach you. It isn't very easy to get people, because this is a space that need a lot of trust from both the coach within themselves, their own capacities, and the other people, the coachee or the client, as we say. So, getting to practice your skill with the peer coaches, I think, is very, very important. It helps quite a lot. And especially what we do at Cocharya is like apart from our own cohort, in which, of course, within the class also we make them practice quite a lot. There are these additional peer coaching calls that happen. I think they are fantastic. They are really good. It helps them to get their coaching hours and then also to continue to practice and yeah, hone the coaching skills. I remember when I was learning, and even after I'd completed my learning, me and Tracy, we sort of coached each other for almost a year. And that has been such a wonderful journey, I think, for both of us, because that allowed us a very, very safe space for continuing to observe. Okay, so while we were respectively coaching other clients, also, we took those peer coachings as a supervision for each other, where we would bring in whatever we are noticing about us in those coaching conversations, or us as individual as well. And that peer coaching journey was equally healing as well. So I think it's very important to practice. Yeah.
Yeah, I could relate to that a lot. And in fact, right before our call today, I was in a peer coaching session with one of my peers, and uh, I think they hold such a strong place in the entire journey. Like with even the littlest of things, like did you do your peer coaching? Did you complete these many hours? Because everybody gets really busy with so many things going on, and that support really helps. And like you
Yeah.
said, like we did a tiny feedback session on like what's changing in our practice, how are we growing, and it adds a lot of value.
Yes.
So yeah.
Because every individual has their own way. Everybody is a different person, so not everybody would coach in the same passion. Everybody have their own style or flair of asking questions or showing their presence, or you know, little nuances are different. So as many people you get to practice with, you can imbibe a lot from them, or at least you can find, okay, what works best for you as an individual. Because being a coach doesn't mean that you have to bring you and put it into a certain mold. Rather, you have to pick up that mold and make it yours. And so in that, because it's not only that, you know, your teacher or your mentor coach is going to teach you a lot in the process. It actually depends upon the culture of the cohort as well. So the kind of culture we are able to establish with the entire cohort also enhances the learning of each participant, because people take away so much from each other's individual journeys and learnings and their way of being. uh, yeah, it further augments the process.
So we've discussed a lot about how you got into the coaching space. You spoke about your upcoming coaching foundation course, what's really special and enjoyable for learners in this course, and how they can grow through this course personally and professionally. We also spoke about peer coaching and the role that peers play in this journey, and it's phenomenal, as you said. Uh, I would like Komal to know a little about two areas. So one is, who are the people who would benefit? I know you shared a little about, be it a parent, be it a people leader in any field. Who else? Who else would enjoy a process like this according to you? And if you could touch upon a few skills that you think are always a strong takeaway and applicable across, professionally, personally.
You know, it's interesting when you ask that question. What came into my mind were like two completely different kind of personalities, which usually people sort of tilt towards. One, people who are very good with structure, boundaries, very rational, logical, mind oriented. And the other kinds who we have seen come to coaching are very, very hard focused, naturally very empathetic, compassionate, kind, right? So people come to coaching with either having a mindset of learning some skills, some tools, or some process to do better, or to really, enhance like the quality of life or the productivity from that very practical side. And then there are these other kind of people who probably have got their own some negative or very challenging life experiences, and they want to do good. They want to be there for other people. They want to change the world, and they find coaching to be one of a very powerful modality and tool to get into it. And I would say it is definitely a place for both kind of people, right? Because but this process challenges both in its unique ways as well. If you are a heart-based person who want to do good for people, people will find, very natural alignment to be very, like, being empathetic wouldn't be a task for them. It'll come very naturally to them. They'll be able to listen to people well. They'll be able to show and hold their presence well for people. What they would actually be challenged with is to hold themselves in boundaries and structures, or what we call is like to have a backbone in the process, right? Which is very important, because coaching isn't about having a very friendly and nice, feel good conversation with somebody. It's a very purposeful conversation. It's a very, very purposeful conversation, which is driven by some purpose by the end of it, or some outcome by the end of it. And it has got its own boundaries. It's like if you're playing a game, that game always has a specific field. It has a specific structure and set of rules as well, because then you would know, okay, so what skill set you are enhancing in that given moment. Same goes for the coaching. And then the people who are very logical, practical, mind centered, for them to have a structure, a boundary comes very, very easy, very naturally. But then they struggle to let go of that rigidity a little bit and flow with the process, with the journey, and let loose, or be more compassionate. So I would say that it is a place for all kind of people. So if somebody says, oh, I'm too practical, I'm too logical, coaching isn't for me, it's wrong. It is for everybody, right? And if some heart center person says that, oh, no, 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 I think therapy is a better this thing, and I don't know if coaching is the space, it is definitely. It helps both, just that you need to find that center space. You need to find that place of balance where you can really bring your mind and your heart together in the process, in the journey. So profession wise, I would say it's for everybody. Age wise, I would say it's even for young people, because that notion that, oh, you need to have a huge life experience to become a successful coach, I don't think so. It does require a level of maturity, but it doesn't, and maturity doesn't necessarily come from life experience, like in terms of numbers, but it comes more from your own. Some people are inherently more mature, maybe because of their spiritual side or whatever, and they can leverage quite a lot on their inherent curiosity. So I would say for the young adults to middle age to the older people, coaching is a space for everybody. Yeah.
And like you shared, I think a while back, that it's that inner transformation that somebody goes through. So I believe that, I mean, it cannot be defined by an age or by a profession. Right? All of us are on that journey. And when you feel like this is something you want to explore, then you join in and you explore this transformation.
Exactly. And I would also say, and this is something that I've noticed, because when I came into the coaching journey, my objective was very clear. I wanted to make it my career, I wanted to make it the way of my life. But then I have met quite a lot of learners and quite a lot of people who came into this journey and felt that, no, I don't want to make it like my lifelong career. But still, despite that, they would feel like what they have taken away from this journey is huge. Like it helps them personally within their own life, around their surroundings. They may not work as certified professional coaches, but whatever profession they are a part of, coaching competencies help them enormously, tremendously. And nowadays, the corporate world acknowledges it so much that there are so many different multiple, larger and mid-scale organizations who consider coaching to be one of the key competency for people leadership. Like whoever need to be in people leadership position, or the managers who are responsible for other people, coaching seems to be showing up more and more as one of the key competency to have. Yeah.
Wonderful. So I think we've spoken about a lot of things, everything related to coaching today, and it's been an amazing conversation, Komal. Like always, I have the chance to learn so much from you in every interaction. And I'm sure our viewers today have also had a chance to, whoever views the video has a chance to learn from you and understand the coaching world. I think I just want to thank you for taking the time out, and for being you, and for being the coach that you are, and for inspiring us all the time through all of our conversations and through the work that you do. And for our viewers, if you still have more questions about coaching, or you want to know if this is something you want to explore for yourself, or if you want to join Komal's upcoming Coaching Foundation course, you can contact us. You can write to us at contact@kocharya.com, and we'll be happy to take up any of your queries, any of your questions. So thank you so much again, Komal.
Thank you so much for asking me all of these questions and letting me speak about something I'm so passionate about all the times. And I would say, I'm open to answer any of the questions that people have about the field. And even more, I think, because sometimes it's the word of the people who have gone through this experience and journey is more important. I am sure some of my previous learners who've been in my cohort would also not mind to take time to, respond to anybody's queries. So the place is open. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you, Komal. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Kiva.
All
Have a good
right.
day.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.